This was something that was put on by Jill Biden. And you've got this dance group. And they were doing interpretive dance to the Nutcracker. But, I mean, it is just creepy and weird. And it is, of course, taking America by storm, as these things tend to do from a not so good standpoint on social media. If you want to go see it, I went ahead and I tweeted it out at Dan Manda's show. But, you know, a little bit about this dance troupe, because there's no other way to say it, they are woke to the nth degree. And so this is what I'm seeing on Twitter. Dorrance Dance, the New York City-based dance company that performed the atrocious version of the Nutcracker Suite in the White House, has a full page on their site, on their website, dedicated to teaching white people to check their privilege. Anybody shocked by that? Anybody at all? That the Bidens would use a dance troupe to perform the Nutcracker in the White House that instructs white people to check their privilege. They also state on their website to be mindful of who or what is financially supporting the candidates you vote for, while linking their site to Black Lives Matter and an organization known as Surge, an organization dedicated to organizing white people for racial justice. So Black Lives Matter, I don't know anything about Surge, but Black Lives Matter, I mean, everybody knows that is an organization that is incredibly corrupt. Oh, and by the way, if I'm looking at this right, it looks like some of these dancers are drag queens. I'm telling you what, man, you can't make this stuff up. So, again, if you want to see it, it's on my Twitter feed at Dan Manda Show over there on X. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. Have you heard about this? Just since we're, right now we're in the land of wokery. See what's going on in Boston? The mayor of Boston, you can't make this stuff up. The mayor of Boston is throwing a no white people allowed Christmas party there in Boston. And apparently she sees nothing wrong with this. Now, the obvious thing, first of all, I don't know if you've heard about this story, but what happened is somebody within the mayor's office sends the Boston City Council invitations to this party. Well, here's the problem. They send invitations to the entire city council, and I guess there's 7 or 8 of the Boston City Council who are white. And so all hell breaks loose and they have to rescind the invitations that were sent to the white people. I kid you not. That's what they did. They rescind. Well, you're white. You can't go. Can you imagine that? You get the invite. Oh, the mayor is throwing some highfalutin Christmas party. I can't wait to go. Only to have it rescinded. And then when you ask why it got rescinded, you were told it's because you're white. And everybody apparently is okay with this. Perhaps the white people are afraid to stand up and say something. So the obvious thing to say here is that what if it was a no black folks allowed, no Latino folks allowed kind of a party? Only white people were allowed. Now I would have an issue with that, of course. Any sane person would see this for what it is, which is blatant, outright racism, but not on the left. So now, of course, in Boston, and we're just finding out about this story here in the last 24 hours, there's a lot of people that are horrified at the notion of a no whites allowed Christmas party proudly put on by the mayor. And by the way, this is what she has to say for herself.
I think we've had individual conversations with everyone so people understand that it was truly just an honest mistake that went out in typing the email field. And I look forward to celebrating with everyone at the holiday parties that we will have besides this one as well. So it is my intention that we can, again, be a city that lives our values shows and create space for all kinds of communities to come together.
Except if you're white.
This is bizarre.
The all white, the no whites allowed Christmas party, or
Her response.
It's completely. She's like, oh well, it was a mistake to accidentally send the white people invitations. She's not admitting that it was a mistake to have a no whites allowed Christmas party.
Yeah, I mean, what are they going to do at the party where the whites aren't invited? I mean, she's making it sound like it is just going to be such a great time to not only party without the whites, but then later we'll party with the whites too.
If I were part of that whole scene, I would tell her just, I'm not going to go to any of your parties. And see, that's part of the thing too. Boston City Council is comprised of 6 minority and 7 white members. So the 7 white members got the invites and then had them rescinded. They say the revelation of the secret no whites holiday party drew some backlash and sent social media aflutter. So you got all kinds of people on both sides of the aisle and in all skin colors that are reacting to the no whites allowed Christmas party put on by the mayor of Boston. I love, by the way, how she says, yeah, we're going to, celebrate. We're going to create a space to celebrate our values, is what she said. Well, okay, so your values clearly include not inviting white folks to Christmas parties.
Isn't that racist?
Well, of course it's
and
racist.
And segregation?
Yes. City Councilor Frank Baker, a white Democrat, bashed the move as unfortunate and divisive, but stressed that it didn't affect him personally, saying, I don't really get offended too easily. Baker telling the Boston Herald, to offend me, you're going to have to do much more than not invite me to a party. He says, I find it unfortunate that with the temperature the way that it is, that we would further that division, Baker said. However, Councilor Brian Worrell, a black Democrat who is seemingly poised to become the vice president of the council next term, argued that there wasn't anything out of the ordinary about the party. He says, we make space and spaces for all kinds of specific groups in the city and city government. Okay, I'd like to call for an all-white Christmas party.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I would say.
What would the reaction be to that?
Oh, they'd burn everything down.
We know what it would be. Here's the thing. Okay, so you didn't want people to know about this. Wasn't supposed to go out.
Right.
Still, though, why do you have to, as a mayor of a major United States city, why do you have to
segregate?
And I don't understand.
It's because they're woke. Well, I'm going to throw this out there too then, Ken. So if I were invited to a party where it was a whites only party and it was specified as a whites only party, I would not go to that party.
No.
I would tell them to stick their, racist party where the sun don't shine, right? That's what I would do. You think any of the black folks did that? Do you think any of the council members did that? Were they
council members of color?
Council members of colors, which is, are they saying, no, we're not going to go. It's clearly a racist party. No, as far as I know, they're all going.
Yeah.
Kind of sad, actually.
I wonder why white city councilors would ruin that for them. I need for her to explain why they need people of color elected only parties.
Yep. They say the elected, this is what they're calling them, by the way, Ken, elected officials of color.
Yeah, elected officials of color.
That's what they're saying.
Can't have white people at this one.
No.
But now we will have one later where everybody will be able to celebrate, but white people are not going to be able to celebrate in this one.
I so wouldn't show up to that party.
But she's not explaining why.
Here's the thing. I would show up to that party, and you know what I would ask? I would ask, okay, so why wasn't I invited to the other one? I mean, that's what I would ask. And by the way, of course, you have the Congressional Black Caucus in Washington, D.C. You could make the argument there. I mean, it's a piss poor argument, but you could make the argument that the Congressional Black Caucus, they're looking out for, the black people that voted for them in their districts. I suppose you could make that argument. This is just pure racism and segregation.
Absolutely it is.
But remember that even with that, with the Black Caucus in D.C., Republicans are not allowed to be in the Congressional Black Caucus.
Oh, because they're Republicans.
I know that because Byron Donalds, a black Republican, was not allowed. He's been trying since 2021, and they just give him the cold shoulder.
Yeah.
So remember that when the Democrats always preach unity, what they mean is you have to be the same skin color and the same political party to be included in their unity.
Yeah.
Crazy, crazy story.
I want to see what happens with this. This is
it's already
this
happened.
is a major U.S. city where this is happening.
Well, maybe they recall the mayor. But, Boston is so incredibly liberal and woke that I think that there's a lot of Bostonians who are fine with this, which is really sad because it is obviously racist. It is 7:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The Super Text line, by the way, as you can imagine, people are going crazy on the Super Text line with this. I'll read some of those comments. 615-737-9986. Time to check with Ken Weaver and find out what's happening at 7:30.
Well, we've got some tornado victims being told they have 24 hours to remove their belongings because their apartment complex is going to be demolished. Vladimir Putin giving his annual news conference, and then gummy bears made kids sick at school. We'll tell you why. Coming up at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
4184 Ken wants to know, okay, so what if I identify as black?
I'm
Caitlin,
telling you, man.
Caitlin says Dan with all kinds of capital letters and exclamation points. The mayor has a white husband.
I guess he wouldn't be allowed. Or would they make an exception?
I don't know.
Amazing.
You know what, though? Some of this stuff, it doesn't amaze me anymore. I shake my head and I just talk about it. But, these kinds of things, until, generally speaking, society itself, because it's one thing if WTN Nation, we're horrified at this. We're bemused by this. We get frustrated by this stupidity. But until the entire nation recognizes this woke BS for what it is, they'll keep voting for the party that's responsible for this, and that is the Democrats. And, okay, whether it is, Joe Biden's strange as heck dance troupe that is prancing around the White House doing the Nutcracker dance, which is an abomination, with their social justice warrior background and all of those ties to this, people still vote for it. And until, by and large, the other half of the country is as horrified by these things as our half of the country, all of this BS is going to continue. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. We had the presidents of the universities with their refusal to acknowledge anti-Semitism on their colleges, right? There's a massive backlash on that. We have this story out of Boston. We have the White House dance troupe that has all of this social justice warrior crap that is embedded in what they do. I hope the American people, and I'm talking about this, I hope the American people, the more moderate and independent of our society, notice this, realize what it is, and think, you know what? The Republicans these days, quite frankly, simply put, seem a lot more sane.